What is going on? You are listening to TAGSPodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast, celebrating 6 years of podcasting. This is episode 527. I am your host, Steve V. Holding down the podcast today is Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I am a little struggle bus after last night, I have to admit.
Well, let's get into it. It's just the two of us.
Yes, darling.
Little squirrels here. And we have to talk about last night. We hung out and went to the New York Eagle. And oh my gosh, so much fun.
Yeah.
First of all, hanging out with you, but also some really fun shenanigans went down. You go first.
Well, I mean, we just sat and talked for literally like 2 hours. So it was just us in the corner with our bartender friend, and we were just chatting, and it was a lovely, and I was perfectly fine with that. And then I was ready to go, and I went to the bathroom, and that's when the mess started for me, honey.
Right.
I ran into this guy that I dated downstairs, and we talked about everything. We were saying that we need to hook up in the new year. We need to go out on a date. We made
Wow.
plans. I know. I'm really glad that I got to reconnect with this guy. It's not Joe, the guy that I'm currently breaking up with, but it's somebody else that I dated before Joe. So
I met him
it's
and
really,
he seemed really cool and had
he
great
is.
energy too. So I approve.
He's very, very nice. So I am glad that I got to meet him. And then when I was peeing upstairs, I was looking for you. So I went to the bathroom when I couldn't find you. 3 guys just kind of descended on me in the restroom. I feel like I'm a completely innocent bystander in this story, okay?
Wow.
One of them started sucking me off. The other one was feeling all around and doing the thing. The other one was just kind of watching. And then this one guy, he took my hand. He said, "Let's go downstairs." And we went downstairs and we had a good old time in the bathroom. The funny thing is, after we had a little bit of fun and we moved on, we heard the door kind of jiggle. And he said to me, let's go to the other bathroom where there's more space and we won't be hindering someone using the actual restroom. And when we came out, guess who was standing there at the front door of the restroom?
Me.
It was Steamy.
Yes, I was so shocked because I was just wanting to go to the bathroom and I was like, okay now, with the shocked look on your face, which was hilarious. But
Yeah.
I've definitely had bathroom moments last night as well with some fun. Before you got there, I had met this guy, and we're going to be talking a little bit later on this show about craziest pickup lines. But I have to say, this guy walked over to me and just did what people should probably do if you see somebody standing there. Introduce yourself. How hard is that, right?
Right?
And he did, and he was really handsome and this great body. I was like, wow. I kept grabbing his biceps. And anyway, long story short, we
I
talked.
co-sign on that. He had a
Okay,
great body.
we are actually going to go on a date tomorrow night. So looking forward to that, which I think should be fun.
Yay.
Yeah, we're going to go have dinner and then maybe come back and have some fun that we didn't get to fully have, but it'll be a lot more, better in my bedroom. So definitely looking forward to that. And then, like you said, we chit-chatted by the bar for 2 hours plus, it seemed, which was so
Yeah.
fun. But afterwards, I had some fun because there's some fun mazes and people congregate in 2 different areas of the bar. If you've ever been to the New York Eagle, and the boys were frisky last night, which was a lot of fun. And I ended up, though, in one frisky moment, meeting these 2 Colombian guys who they wanted to have a little bit more fun. And they said, "Can we go to the bathrooms?" And they were boyfriends. Both of them were
Ooh.
sexy. And we went down to one of the bathroom stalls, maybe next door to you, and had our own fun. And they took turns on me. And it got really like rough, but in a good way. And so we exchanged, because that's what the kids do now, Instagram accounts. And one of them was messaging me this morning saying how much fun he had, when can we do it again, and wants to take it to the next level. And so I
I
was like,
love that.
yeah, I want to spit on your pretty face, is what he said in one of the messages. I was like, oh,
Ooh,
wow, okay. Well, you lick
I
my
love that.
feet. I was like, I may have mentioned that I liked that fetish. So he was all about that. So, anyways, yeah, lots of fun, I have to say.
So much fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
And
positive.
that may have been we may have been in, uh, adjoining stalls because I did hear some wonderful moaning in the stall next to me.
There you go. It probably was
So there it
me.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably was you.
Exactly. I just wanted to also, my weekend, I shot some OnlyFans content with a photographer, a friend to the show, and we got some really good content, including using a sling that I did an unboxing of a toy, and I did some flesh jack of playing with the toy with that, and some great photography. And I have to say, it was surprising for me, Cody, because I haven't really shot and been so, I was very proud of myself that I didn't, I was very uninhibited, I think, with the whole shoot. And I wasn't quite sure how I was going to be with somebody. And we were so efficient and productive with our time, but we got the shots that we wanted. And so, again, I was just really happy with how it all went down. He was too.
Love it. I love that. I can't wait to see the edited versions of these, the safe for work versions, darling.
Safe
Safe for
for
your
work. There's
sister.
not that many of them, but we'll have to see. But yes, no, it all went good. New material dropping on my OnlyFans coming out this coming week. You can go to onlyfans.com/sexy poppy Steve V. Sexy poppy Steve V. So, okay, well, so many hot topics to get into, including a year in review, as we will do until the end of the last few episodes of this year. But we have to first talk about Pope Francis approves blessings for irregular same sex couples. What does that mean? So, those who are looking to get Pope Francis's approval of your marriage, you may now, he just actually released a document today that formally approves priests to bless same sex couples. So, as long as the blessing does not resemble a wedding, and multiple media outlets reported on this today. It was like head story. But the document states such requests should not be denied outright and can be permitted if the blessing does not take place at a part of a regular church or church activities. So, in other words, the possibility, so what it really says is the possibility of blessings for couples in irregular situations, that would be same sex, and for couples of the same sex, although it leaves the decision to the prudent and fatherly discernment of ordained ministers. What does all this mean to you? I mean, would you, I guess for me, if you really were a hard and fast Catholic and you're still, and you're within the LGBTQ community, maybe this would mean something for you, even though it doesn't, it still views marriage between a man and a woman as the only sacred institution. So it doesn't really validate you. But to me, I think we said on a recent show that we are reformed Catholic. We both said that.
Yep.
And I, this, I think it goes far, but not far enough. But I'm sure those that are still practicing Catholics might like this. How do you think?
I think the same thing. I think that, as far as the Catholic Church is concerned, the change will be slow coming. I personally have separated myself from needing the approval of the Catholic Church for the longest time. So this doesn't really mean a lot to me.
Right.
I think it means a lot in the grand scheme of things because I do think that when for the Catholic Church to even say this is a huge step forward for them. So I applaud them
And the Pope,
for
really, right? The Pope.
and the Pope exactly because I think that this is something that and at large we will only continue the growth as far as the Catholic Church is concerned, because I do think that this is something that a lot of people will be in the future happy to have, and I think it's a good thing overall. But for me personally, I'm like, girl, I can go get married at the city hall and
Right.
have a good old time, have some fried chicken, and just have a great time, because I don't need the Catholic Church to be involved at all. Or I could go to one of the churches that actually accepts my LGBTQ plus identity.
And maybe on a larger status, the news today, because every outlet was reporting on it, it does have an impact because we're so divisive, at least in this country or really the world these days. And this, when the Pope speaks or makes something that has been indoctrinated for years, hundreds of years, this is a big deal from a larger scope, if you look at it from that standpoint, and could you know, have people questioning in a good way. Well, if the Pope says it's, okay, then I think it's good. But does it go far enough? No, but it's a good direction and I think a good headline for us to be reporting on right now. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
My great aunt definitely listens to the Pope, but she's already very open minded. But hopefully, this will open a lot of other people's minds as well. So
Yeah, send
I
her the
think it's a good
story
thing.
and see what she says.
Oh my
If you're not going to
goodness.
see her on Christmas, because you don't want to get into it if she doesn't approve.
She would love it. She asks about my ex all the time. She's like, "How is your friend?" I'm like, "Oh, he's fine, Titi."
Oh, cute.
I don't even have the heart to tell her right now, but after
Right.
Christmas I will. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, well, boy, in America here, the Senate is going through it, and I'm talking about a junior aide to Senator Ben Cardin is no longer employed by the Senate. The Maryland Democrats' office said Saturday, following news reports linking the staffer to a sex tape. And it was filmed in a Capitol Hill hearing room, if you can believe it. We watched it earlier. It's only about 8 seconds, and the guy is definitely getting pounded by a nice sized dick. I will say
It's
that.
thick,
It is
yes.
thick, but portions of this tape were actually published by the Daily Caller on Friday, showing two men having sex in the Hart Senate office building hearing room. And it's played host to Supreme Court nominees, 9/11 Commission meetings, and former FBI Director James Comey's blockbuster 2017 testimony on Donald Trump. So they called Hardin staffer. They realized they named the staffer, but other conservative outlets identified one person seen in the video as Aiden Mace uh, Cherupsky. That's really hard name to say. A
Mhm.
legislative aide to Cardin. So this is what's crazy, though. The aide, Aiden, actually had this statement that I just picked up a few minutes ago. This has been a difficult time for me as I have been attacked for who I love to pursue a political agenda. While some of my actions in the past have shown poor judgment, I love my job and would never disrespect my workplace. Any attempts to characterize my actions otherwise are fabricated. And I just think, who is he kidding himself? I mean, you had sex at work, essentially. That's why you got fired, not and full on sex, not because you're gay or you're in the LGBTQ or there's some political agenda against you. I mean, what did you think? It's like, it reminds me of Eric Adame, who worked for the news, got fired for having mentioning his workplace in a chat room. Jeffrey Toobin, who was a CNN contributor, got fired because he was masturbating on camera and got caught. You can't have sex at work. It's not that hard of a concept to get. And for Aiden to have these feeble excuses and even think that you could put out a statement that they're for being attacked for who I love is ridiculous, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, I think that the difference between Eric Adame and Jeffrey Toobin is they didn't say, "Oh, that wasn't me." There wasn't a Shaggy moment with them. So I think that Yeah, you know what? This video, it's very short, it's 8 seconds, and it's shot from the back. So you can only see a peripheral vision, a side view of his face. So it could not be him possibly. I've seen a picture
No, but
of
he
him.
hasn't denied it.
I thought that he said that that he would never put his job in jeopardy like this, is what he said. So I took that to mean that is saying that he didn't do this. Am I reading this wrong?
No,
Am
I
I
think
misinterpreting
he
this?
did do this. This is why he gave this statement. He's never said that that wasn't me in the video.
Okay. I feel like he's using language that can be misinterpreted, and he to kind of get himself out of this, basically. And I don't think that that's right. I think he should just fess up and say that he did this and that he's sorry. He should apologize. I think the difference between the I don't want to get too political, but we saw what happened with Lady Katara, George Santos. It took forever to get her out of the Senate for various reasons. This guy was fired immediately. So
As
I
he
do
should
not.
be, I think.
Exactly. I think I agree with you. I think that he should be fired because you should not be having sex at work unless you are on a sex podcast like we are.
Thank you. Right, or have an OnlyFans page. Yeah, I have
Hey, hey,
other
hey.
yeah.
You better drop that OnlyFans again, girl. I love it. But yeah, so I think that this is something, if you're in a professional space, especially, this is a space where so many iconic things have happened in the world. So I think that is very disrespectful and basically a sacrilege to the space that he would even do that there. So honestly, though, I feel like it's probably happened before, but it's never been recorded.
Well,
So,
that's the thing. It's like, can people do certain things, but you filmed it yourself and yeah, it got leaked. And I just wonder what the guy who was fucking him thought, like, should we really be doing this? Or maybe he's the
oh,
one that leaked it. Who knows? But it also is just like he worked. It's not like this aide was new to Washington. He used to work for the Dianne Feinstein's office at one point. And so
oh,
he's
really?
no stranger to DC, and he knows that if this got in the wrong hands, which it did, it's like a really bad judgment and just so dumb. And so that's why I just think he's an idiot to then put this statement out to say that to actually use something that we in the community often say, I've been attacked for who I choose to love, essentially. No, don't confuse that statement with for countless years of people fighting for our rights for something poor judgment wise you chose to do that was inappropriate. And it's, believe me, I just don't get it. Like, why would you, when you take these types of jobs, yes, of course you're going to have sex, but you can't do it at your place of work. And
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous. You need to do it in the bathroom stall at the Eagle, like Cody and me. That's just the thing. And I had, as I was getting railed by the two Colombians yesterday, a guy, because this sometimes happens at the Eagle, people like to get a glimpse, so they'll climb up on their toilet in the next stall to look, and you'll see like a popping head appear over the stall. And sometimes it's like annoying because you're like, excuse me, I didn't ask for a show. Did you not notice
Yeah.
the door was shut? But I was so into it that I just, whatever. And like I said, I had just shot the day before, cum shot and all for the OnlyFans. And so I was like, if somebody wants to watch this, fine. Who am I to judge? But again, it was at a sex positive club and not on the Senate floor.
Exactly. There are differences. Know your audience and know the space that you're in. There are spaces where you should be able to be sexually free, and there are spaces that deserve a little bit more respect, quote unquote. I don't know if I'm using the correct word, but that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, moving on to there's a new drug that could make its way to the next big gay party, and it's called Captagon. And the crazy thing about it is they're making it in the Middle East and actually giving it to people like Hamas because apparently it gives you this super energy, makes you very feel almost like a superhero. And it was actually it was used up until the 80s. It was a legal stimulant and was kind of used for attention deficit disorder. It was made illegal in the US more than 40 years ago because its harm was believed to outweigh its benefits. Well, now Captagon is known on the streets in the Middle East as a drug of war. They give them to soldiers like in Hamas and to actually feel like they have superpowers and they're extremely aggressive. But the drug can also, of course, make you feel very sexual. And that's why this writer of this story, Michael D. Kelly, is kind of warning because he thinks it's just a matter of time that it will make its way over to America and find its way on the dance floor. The writer also was talking about being in P Town over the summer, and he thinks due to um, the pandemic that we had, that a lot of people became more addicted to drugs. And I think that's somewhat of a true statement.
Hmm.
But he said over the summer, he noticed every drug being passed around on the dance floor. And we all know that party drugs happen. And, I've been on dance floors where I've seen stuff happening. But apparently it's at an all-time high. And he really wants to warn against this drug. It's not here yet, but he thinks it could make its way, and it's it could be really lethal when done improperly, and we just don't need another drug making its way, I think, especially knowing its its origins and how it was made, and it was made by like for war, which is
Yeah.
really gross.
Oh, definitely. I think that this is at first when you started talking about it, I was like, "Oh, this sounds like something I might want to try." But then you fully described it, and now I definitely see your viewpoint and see the viewpoint of the person that wrote this article because it sounds very destructive, and that is the last thing we need in our community. So we've already had enough drugs and things of that nature that have destroyed so many lives in our community. So
Fentanyl,
yeah, meth.
opioids, meth.
Yeah, all of those. So I think that this is something that we should all be aware of, cognizant of, and I think that we should stay away from it because it's not worth it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. If we hear more on this, we'll report on more of it. Well, a recent conversation was happening over on Reddit, posing the question: are Gen Z guys more prudish than other gays? Well, here's what some people had to say, and it was in the Ask Gay Men subreddit. And adults, just so you have an idea who falls into the Gen Z category, it's anyone
Me.
that. Oh my God. You are. It's anyone
Sorry.
born after 1997.
Oh, that is me.
Is it? Okay. Well, one Redditor posed the question that he had noticed that Gen Z guys are very prudish and even weird about sex, whether it's not wanting it, period, which the writer said, which is fine, but a surprising number seem to not. Being slut shamey about how many guys others have slept with, posting pics and such online, or just hating the apps with a burning passion that seems a little surprising. And one Redditor. So here's what some of the people, the actual Gen Zers, had to say. Many of them claimed, I'll read a couple of them. I'm Gen Z, and I think the thing to understand is that we aren't as well socialized as previous generations. Most generations socialized in person so they could build relationships more easily. We socialize mostly online and spend more time physically away from people. Also, a lot of us were exposed to not safe for work content from an early age. So I think all that makes us a bit different from older generations. Somebody else wrote, I'm Gen Z and I just don't want to bone, like I'm being in an orgy, but I'd rather not. I'm fine with being in an orgy, but I'd rather not bone. And then somebody else said who's 23. For me personally, the one thing that likely influences this behavior is our lack of in-person socialization. So you see where many of the comments had to do with the lack thereof of meeting people in person. We talk a lot about this on the show. I've said for years that the apps just don't really work for me. I'm a social person. I'm a Gen Xer, and I could see where people might not maybe be prudish because of what a lot of the lack thereof of socializations. And I don't think it's getting any better with things like AI. I mean, I don't know. Do you think that this is true, that some Gen Z guys are leaning more towards the prudish side? And if you do, what do you think your reasoning would be for them?
I definitely could see that. I think that a lot of it has to do with how they were raised. I am Gen X as well. I was born again in 1997, so
You're
that's
a born
why I
again
say
Christian?
no. I was so in I feel I'm Gen X. I am actually. I think I'm the very last year of Gen X, but
Okay.
that's neither here nor there. But I think that as far we got a lot of the initial when it came to technology and things of that nature, AOL, being in chat rooms, and we got we got the cusp of that, and we saw the initialization of all of that technology, and we still got a lot of social interaction. So I can definitely see their viewpoint. I think this is something that's very real. I can see Gen Z being a little bit prudish. I've just trying to think about the people that I know that are Gen Z, and a lot of them are a little bit socially awkward. I know a lot of people though that are not socially awkward that are Gen Z, and they are very sexual. I get hit on by 23-year-olds all the time, honestly, and they are about that life. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about it right now. So, yeah,
Well, and
one just hit me up 2 seconds ago. He was like, "Come to the gym with me and let's have some fun." So
hey.
I
Well,
know.
I
So
think,
I
yeah. I mean, I think the other thing to consider too is that a lot of Gen Zers didn't grow up with HIV and the AIDS epidemic. And so, for some people that grew up in certain generations, like mine, for example, we grew up in fear always of getting HIV, getting those tests, waiting for those tests. And sex for a while for me in my 20s was very scary.
yeah.
And I think that many Gen Zers didn't grow up with that. So maybe they are a little bit more freer with themselves. So I'm not sure if this argument really stands true. I think it's probably a mixed bag of sorts, but socialization is a big deal when you get out, talking to people, sharing stories, being comfortable talking about sex positivity is a big deal. And if you're not really doing that, or you're writing in bite sized texts or bite sized app texting, you're not really getting full thoughts out in my mind. And that could be another way that you're not really exploring your sex positivity. And the last thing I would add is, for me, with age, I've become more sex positive over the years. And I think that even more so than my 20s. So if you're younger, I think you're trying to figure things out, and you might not exactly be totally into everything because you haven't had a lot of experience or been exposed to it. So, some other things to consider.
Oh yeah, definitely. And something you said actually sparked a thought in me. Gen Zers were raised by Gen Xers, and Gen Xers I feel hit the h- were hit very hard by the AIDS epidemic, and feeling that closed off from sex at that time, being raised by that generation that felt closed off by sex has probably affected them in a way that they responded to not wanting to be as sexual as possible. So I think it's a mixed bag, and I can see the ramifications of the AIDS epidemic and the rise of technology, and how the anti-socialism of non-socialization, I kind of want to say more than anti-socialism, as far as that generation is concerned, how it would affect them in this way. So that just really touched on me. The AIDS
Yeah.
epidemic has long-lasting ramifications as far as life is concerned.
Let us know what you think too, because I don't think the verdict is totally out. It was one Reddit thread, but how do you weigh in? Do you think Gen Z guys are more prudish than other gays or not? And let us know what you think. You can always go to tagspodcast.com and send us a comment via that, or we'll give our social media handles at the end of the show. Let's stay on Reddit though and give our feedback on this. And this one caught my eye because we have been talking about orgies recently, and we were talking recently about, is it okay to do one at an Airbnb? We had thoughts on that. We won't rediscuss that whole thing, litigate that over again. But somebody wrote, my friends with benefit wants to host an orgy and film it for all the participants. Is this as bad of an idea as I think it is? I think if you have to ask the question, it is, but
Girl.
let's feel it out here. My friends with benefit is putting together a post New Year's orgy. And he actually says that sounds suspect. Does group sex shindig sound better? No, it doesn't. I don't think. Um, the kicker is that he wants to film it with like 3 phones with multiple angles in the room. I'm the one who got him into filming our sexy time, so I kind of feel responsible for this mess. But now that he's inviting guys we don't know super well, I'm afraid this is actually going to hit the internet. I'm pretty down with stuff, but I don't want my cock splashed out there. Well, first off, do you work in the Senate floor? Or are you an aide? Because then it's a hard no.
There it is.
You're not
Yeah.
listening to our show. Worst of all, I First of all, I'm low key really want to see my friends with benefits get railed by one of our friends coming in. I think it'd be so hot to watch. Part of me wants to bail and say that I don't feel comfortable getting filmed in something that so many guys will have, but I also want to have footage of my FWB getting his ass stretched by this hot guy I have a crush on. It feels wrong to dip and then ask for a copy of the footage, right? This guy has a funny sense of humor. I like it. Honestly, I think
Hmm.
I probably just need to convince him that we shouldn't film this because we're gonna regret it. Question mark. Also, none of us has been in a threesome, much less a 6-person thing. I'm pretty nervous about the group sex roles. Like, what if I'm not super hot into one of the guys? Really want that on video. Here's my initial advice is why not suggest to your friend that we do this initial party and see how it goes before we start breaking out the cameras? Because I think you're going to have to tell all of these 6 participants that you're going to do that. And I'm guessing that not all 100% are going to want to be filmed. That's just my guess. Unless it
Yeah.
was like what we were talking about, Austin Wolf did Collab Week in Puerto Vallarta, which was totally promoted to other OnlyFans creators. So this is just a regular orgy. Something about regular and orgy don't work in the same sentence, but we're going with it. So
We should normalize orgies, I
we
feel like.
should. Yeah, exactly. We're talking about them so much these days on the show. So I just think why not do this first? And if you really want to see your friends with benefit get railed, why not suggest another time where just that guy comes over and
Mm.
you film that and just get what you really want? And suggest on this one time that, maybe we don't use the cameras. We haven't really hosted this before. We haven't really done there's a lot of pressure sometimes for New Year's Eve. Why don't we just enjoy the holiday and have this fun orgy, but not worry about getting this footage? And then if it goes well, consider the second time of doing it, but kind of see how the first one works out. I don't know. What's your advice for this Redditor?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that it's a great idea to have the first orgy to where you guys can get really comfortable with one another. And I think that that will provide a connection for you guys. Because I think the orgy could probably be potentially really hot. I think
Oh, I'm
that six
sure it'd
people
be really hot, right?
Oh, yeah, and it's something that I would wanna have on video. Another idea that I was kind of tossing around in my head really quickly was they have, what's it called when you have to sign a piece of paper to where
Consent form.
a consent not the consent form, the do not release it. What's that called?
Um, so a
Oh my
NDA.
gosh. NDA, that's what it's called. Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
Steve. You're the best. You could have all these people sign an NDA that they're not going to release this video. I mean, if you're that worried about not having someone release this, because that's always something that you run into when you bring in more and more people. When it's 6 people out there, somebody's going to be really proud of it, and it's going to get around. I know too many people out there currently that have recorded their sexual acts, and they have been publicly mortified when it came
Oh,
out. I know.
really?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's one guy that I followed he started his OnlyFans career because he had a sex tape leak. And he at first he was not very proud of it, and he's was mortified out in the public. He did not want this out there, but then he acquiesced, and he just ran with it after that. And I think that that was probably the only thing he could do, was make lemonade out of lemons, as far
Well,
as that's
good for him,
concerned.
and that's a good shift of a story, but I think, I don't know that I would even wanna go to a party where they would say, "We're gonna be filming this, but hey, you'll get the footage," because like you said, or one of the commenters said, "This is 100% going to get uploaded to the internet. You've
Oh,
been warned." Yeah,
1000%.
and I
Yeah.
just think I would feel, and this is coming from somebody that started filming myself, right, for the page, but I don't know that I would feel very uninhibited at, like, if I'm just gonna go to an orgy and have fun, I just wanna have fun. I don't know that I want cameras on me and wondering the whole time, like, angles. Like, I just wanna be free and enjoy it, and so I just think it's kind of a bad idea, and film, like, smaller scenes, like the friends with benefit and the other guy that he wants to see his friend get railed. I think that could be fun, but I don't know. Do you like the idea of cameras being in there like that, or phones?
S- So what's funny is, you know, that I've always said that I get camera shy and I'm not able to give it up. More and more, am coming to the mindset that I am ready to film some private content. So just for me and possibly one other person, but I am raring to go as far as filming some spicy, sexy content with somebody. So let me know if you guys are
Okay, yeah.
hit your boy
For
up.
me, it's like, oh no, I'll do it, and I don't mind, and I'm happy to do it, but it's going on my page, my
You're
OnlyFans
like,
page. Yeah.
get it.
Otherwise, forget it. No, I'm kidding, but sort of kidding.
If I can't monetize it, I don't want it.
Exactly. No, no, that's not
I
fair.
love it. No, no, no. I live. You better do it.
I think I just have, sometimes it's not so much the monetization as it is more like, I think of my mind works in more like there needs to be an end to a means kind of
Mhm.
thing. And so if I'm gonna, like this shoot that I did, me and the photographer crafted what we were going to shoot, and it's very project based. I work well in like projects and having tasks, and then I'm a content creator obviously with the podcast, and this is one more level that of content creation. And so it's just, that's kind of how my mind and life works in general. So as I become more sex positive, this just makes sense. I don't know,
Yeah.
for me, if I would just want to have it and then have it on my phone, I'd be like, yeah, when am I looking at this? So, but I get it for those that want that. So,
Yeah. That's me. I
yeah.
kind of want it on my computer, not on my phone, because the cloud can get hacked, girl. So
There is some demonstration happening outside my window on 7th Avenue. Don't ask me what it
really?
is, but they are, yeah, I'll have to go look after. Anyways.
These
um,
streets is wild, baby.
Yeah. It is our year in review and the last few episodes of Tags podcast for 2023. We thought we'd go down memory lane and find out what we were talking about in the early part of the year. And we've come to find out there was some really interesting things that we were talking about that still hold up today, and some of them don't. So, Cody, what was one thing that we were talking about in early 2023, January to be exact? The real friends of WeHo. Does that not seem like 18 years ago and so irrelevant today? Like, remember that we were so up in arms over it too, and how ridiculous they were, and it was like this big deal of a reality show that was not ever going to be the Real Housewives, and we were just so about it. It just seems so like minuscule now, and like, wait,
Yeah.
what was that show? But we were all we carried it in a couple episodes.
Did we really?
Yeah,
That I can't.
several.
That is amazing to me, because the real the real friends of WeHo is not even a blip on my radar
I
anymore.
know.
You know what? the Real Friends of WeHo, I will remember it always. It's what ruined the last season of Drag Race for me. So I will
Oh,
always. It did it
well, then
because
let
they
me ask you this question, because one of
go.
the things that we were talking about was bring back my queens to the 90-minute RuPaul's Drag Race. And
Yep.
so, did they ever get it back to 90 minutes? And how upset were you when that occurred because of Real Friends of WeHo?
Oh yeah, I could have choked all of those boys out, but while I was having sex with them, just so you know, they did get it back to 90 minutes. So, but it was near the end of the season when there were less queens, and you really. For me personally, as far as Drag Race is concerned, and I could talk about this ad nauseum for hours. So,
You're an
but I only got like
aficionado.
the when there's more queens, you need more time to so you can actually get to know the queens so that you can find who you are supporting and in the cast because these queens they need your support. They need for you to follow them. They need for you to go out to see them live because this is their livelihood when it comes down to it. And I feel like the last season, all of those girls got cheated out of a lot. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think they re-released the 90-minute episodes on Paramount Plus, so you can go and watch the full 90-minute
I know
episodes
you will
there.
be.
I
Okay.
watched the first couple, like 3 or 4, so but
There's
I'm
some
gonna keep
people, and I think you're
continue.
one of them, and I have another friend that will actually watch past seasons, and I'm like he's already watched, say, season 7. I'm just making this
Mhm.
up in some remote part of like the UK or something like that. And I'll be like, "But you already watched it, and more importantly, you know who won." I know, but I just like seeing it again. And I'm like, "Really? Wow. Okay." Do you
I'm in the
rewatch?
middle of season 4 right now.
Oh my god. Okay, then I get it. I don't get it, but I get it. One other thing we were talking about that turned out good news. Episode 432, we were talking about the announcement of the celebration tour, Madonna. And well, most people were excited about it. People that were buying tickets were not, because tickets were outrageous. And then we came to learn later that she had to postpone her US tour because she fell ill. Well, thank goodness, as we all know, Madonna just completed her European tour, and now she's here in the States. And I plan to see her hopefully in Las Vegas in March, and just working out the fine details. But it was something we were announcing as the world was announcing, and it's so far a success. So, other than maybe she still
Yay.
goes on late, I don't know, but she's Madonna. Some things
She
never
can do that.
change. Yeah.
And I hear all good things too. Bob is in it, and from what I've seen, it's really amazing. So I'm
Yeah, it
glad
looks
she's back on
amazing.
track. Yeah.
Yeah. And lastly, our cool slutty daddy, I'm talking about Pedro Pascal, I think still holds up as the cool slutty daddy even today. We still interject his name into many of the shows. He's in the news either for a film or just posting a sexy thirst trap. He seems to have a really good sense of humor. And I really think we were on point talking about Pedro Pascal early in the year, and we'll probably continue in the years to come. How do you weigh in on Pedro Pascal?
I want to talk about him every year, but
Okay. Every
2024
day.
should be, I know, right? Should be another year of Daddy Pedro, our sexy daddy. I cannot wait till he comes out with something new. And yeah, we can just talk about him because he's so lovely. And he's such a genuine spirit as well. So yeah, I love him.
I got it. And as we wrap up this episode here, two things about we want to talk about our brand new show. Well, we have your listening ears, but Amanda Bynes, do you know Amanda Bynes? She was kind of big back in the day, I guess. I wasn't a big
We
fan.
haven't her on the show. What's
We are
going on?
not, but she literally pulled the plug on our brand new podcast after one episode. And she
What?
went on social media to explain why. And she said, after much consideration, I am taking down the podcast, putting it on pause because guests that we were trying to get have not come through. Guests like Drake, Jack Harlow, Post Malone haven't come through. And while I can't get some of those guests, I'd rather just put it on hold. It's like, girl, like you're going, first of all, did you not realize podcasting is work? And you went for some of the biggest names, and so they didn't respond back, but you're just giving up after it. It's just ridiculous. I don't think people often realize how much work goes into a podcast, but you would think on her level that she would even have a production team. And okay, so you can't get Drake, but why not focus the show on something talking about your acting career or where it went awry, or you could talk about so many things. And to give up after one episode, really? What do you think?
People want her tea for sure. It's a shame that she actually quit, because I think that it could be a real eye opener. It can be very enlightening for people as far as her career, her state of being. That is how I'm going to frame that.
Okay, right.
Very politically
What do you think
correct.
about, like, because she couldn't get Drake, Jack Harlow, Post Malone?
Girl, people don't respond sometimes, and sometimes you miss the email, but it's work, and you need to always put 110% in it. If you want to be successful at something, you have to be focused on it and make sure that you are going after what you want. And I'm saying that to all of you, but I'm saying it to myself as well.
Yeah, and you have to have a point of view. I mean, it's like Drake's probably like, "Who are you?" Like, he's not
They had
responding.
a They
Yeah.
had a little she made a couple comments about him. I think that she was attracted to him at one point. I don't remember. It was so long ago.
Anyways, well, we want to talk about our show that we're not giving up on anytime
That's
soon,
right.
and it's called Of a Certain Age. And we have a brand new episode dropping this Wednesday. It is with all about fashion, and we are talking with designer Ashley Thomas, also Cody's best friend, my
Mhm.
friend, and we also have from Tags Podcast, Jeremy Ross Lopez. Both of them went to FIT
Yep.
and have been true fashionistas. And I love this conversation so much. And I think you're going to get some really good tips and tricks and from experts, but also we had a lot of laughs. And so how much fun did you have with this show?
Wow, it was so amazing to chat with them and pick their brains and really understand the concept of fashion and understand how it affects your daily life. It was so good, and it was so organic. Talking to
Yes.
two of our wonderful friends that we have this connection with, I it just filled me with so much joy. So I can't wait to listen to it. I can't wait for everybody else to listen to it as well.
It's episode 9 of a certain age, OACA, OACA, as we like to say, and it drops this Wednesday morning wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and every other outlet. So check it out, Of a Certain Age, and enjoy.
Yes.
So much fun, Cody. Thanks for holding down the fort with me today.
Always, babes, always.
We are back Wednesday with Tags Live, and I believe it's our last Tags Live of the year. So we want you to join us live. We have a special guest, and it's an author. We're going to be talking about some really sexy fiction, and it's going to be really good. So you don't want to miss it. Plus, we'll continue our year in review of 2023. Some fun tidbits of what were we talking about in early 2023? Is it still hold up today or no? Okay. Either way, you can follow my co-host Cody. He's a life coach at KMD Coaching on Instagram, KMD Coaching, or his personal account at Mr. Maurice. Mr. Maurice. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. Go to TAGSPodcast.com. Check out my OnlyFans with new content coming out this week. Sexy Poppy Steve V. And Cody, in the meantime, continue having hot
Hot
gay
gay
sex.
sex.